Yep, we're on.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For a while now, we've had a moment of silence prior to the meeting, and I just want to have us remind ourselves that we're going to be interactions with each other with humility and grace. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Dr. Fellner.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Gribble.
Here.
Mr. Richard.
Here.
Mr. Strickler.
Here.
Mr. Watkins.
Here.
Mr. Weber. Mr. Woodmansey.
Here. Elected officials.
Mayor Satterfield.
Here.
Auditor Wade.
Here.
Director of Law Bear.
Here.
Treasurer Pittman.
Here.
Safety Service Director Ward.
Before you, you have the agenda. First item is to approve the minutes of January 27, 2026 regular meeting. There are no additions or corrections. I'd like a motion to accept them as presented. Mr. Strickland makes the motion and Mr. Woodmansey seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We'll approve accept the minutes as presented. Second item is the approval of the agenda. There are no ordinances or sections to be added, so could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Mr. Watkins makes the motion and Mr. Woodmansey seconds. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries and the agenda is approved. We've got several people who are wishing to speak before council. The first one I'd like to introduce is Mr. Junker. Could you give us a brief statement?
I'm not sure if I don't have anything prepared, but we're here because I have several of my 7th grade social studies students. So if you would stand up if you're in the 7th grade in the class. Okay? We're learning about Rome, and we've been talking about civic duty and how we can get our kids to participate in government, not only by voting, but by maybe someday being a city council member, helping somebody run a campaign. So this is a little bonus activity for them. I'm really pleased. I have a pretty good turnout. Now, I'm going to ask something of you guys because it helps for kids to make a connection. So, and we all know that kids need to learn how to speak. Do we all agree on that as adults? Okay, now they don't know this is coming. What I would like to do is, I would like you to give your name and your address, and I want you to connect with a city council member that's around your neighborhood. So if they give you the address, just say like you're the one that's over there. Does that make sense? Or ward?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so name, address, and then we want to see who you could go to if you have an issue. Liam, start us off.
Liam, 1276 Wolford Road, Hello, Mansfield.
So who would be?
You live in Mansfield?
He's Mansfield.
Okay, so you're okay, open her.
My name is Sydney, and I live in Ontario. I live in 909 Rock Road.
Okay.
My name is Greta, and I live on 907 Bailey Ave.
Your councilman, and these three would live with you.
My name is Ariana. I live on 221 Cherry Street, Galion, Ohio.
Also be your councilman.
Okay.
My name is Heather. I live on 140 South Murray Street, Galion, Ohio.
South Murray.
That would be me.
Oh, Murray or Market? Murray.
I'll be your councilman for the 3rd Ward. These gentlemen here are councilmen at large, which also represents you.
Now, I do want to say something. If anything would ever come up, Doc, and I've known Dr. Fellner for years. He's like one of my favorite doctors I love to go to.
Totally.
We would love to be a part of it and to have our kids be a part of it. So if there were questions or comments. Now, I know before the election, we had Mr. Satterfield in and a couple other people running for mayor, and that was great. You guys remember Mr. Satterfield? Yeah. So we'd love to be a part of it. Just, that's the best way to learn. That's to do. So these kids will remember this, I guarantee it. I bet their parents will too.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here. Thank you. Not to be rude, guys, but we're gonna step out partway through the meeting. If we get a break, just give us a nod and half an hour.
No worries, up to you. Thanks for bringing them again. I know you always bring out a good group, and it's really dry and kind of, but it's really important to know what your responsibilities as a citizen are. So thanks for being here.
I also want to say this, guys. This is a good representation of our 7th grade class. I mean, these kids are all great kids. They come to school, they work hard, they do the right thing. So, regardless of what people think about middle school age kids, we got a lot of good.
Thanks, Greg. Got a couple other. So, Rod, you're here, and you're kind of in conjunction from the Port Authority as needed for support from the presentation, correct? So I'm not going to let you speak right now. Sue Miller, and you're from the Red Cross, again, in support of the presentation earlier. So, I think Ms. Fox.
Yes.
Are you also?
Yes, I'm here for MJS.
Great.
Yes.
So with that, our next item on the agenda is a presentation from Bridge of Faith Fellowship. And who's going to present? Tell us your name, please.
I'm Angela May, and I have my team.
Step out up to the front of the table there.
I'm Angela May, guys. I know some of you in the room, some of you have met me. I've talked with a few of you. Some of you have not. We are introducing the Bridge of Faith Fellowship Community Campus. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, church arm. We are trying to reactivate the old former Peace Lutheran Church. We do have a presentation. Obviously, we don't have it up on the board, so most of you have slides there in front of you. I don't have a copy. Okay, so basically, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go over, I have a few people from my team with me, the American Red Cross. I have leadership from the Marion Technical College. I have partners from some of the recovery housing here locally. I have secretary of my board, family support, my architect, Port Authority, grant writer, kids, welcome. I'm glad you're here and a part of this too, that's great. Okay, so to begin things, like I said, we're trying to reactivate Peace Lutheran Church. We're here for community buy-in. Basically, we want to tell you what we're doing, because I know some of you have heard me talk about bringing volunteers into our community, sponsoring parks, filling the job pipeline, bringing in educational pieces here locally too. I don't actually have everything in front of me. I don't do well just reading the slides, just to be honest. So you guys mostly will have our vision and our mission in front of you. We are a faith-based, Christ-centered program, but we don't discriminate. We take people where they're at. Basically, what we're trying to do is take that church. We want to put in a community food pantry, not just for our local community, but for the whole Crawford County, because our poverty level here is pretty high. We're at 41% is what is it? Where you at? Help me with the data. Here's my operations manager, Stephen Post. Go ahead.
1 in 5 people here in Crawford County are at or below the poverty line. So therefore, housing instability, food instability are things that are actually real for a good number of folks. And during times when you have cold weather and such, when you bring in the elderly population and such that you have, because our demographics are kind of moving toward the older end of the spectrum, you do have things like warming shelters and such that are relevant and things that we'll be bringing, talking about a little later.
Yeah, so a warming shelter. A warming shelter is different from emergency shelter services. Does everybody know the difference, or do we need an explanation? Okay, so a warming shelter basically would be ran by May Justice Solutions through the Bridge of Faith Fellowship. Our partners, the American Red Cross, do emergency shelter services, and this is for the community. Basically, if we have a tornado, a flood, any major fires like we had just last month, I believe, when that apartment complex caught on fire, that's what we would initiate in the Bridge of Faith Fellowship Community Church. We would bring in housing. There's a large kitchen where we can help those families that are in need and to help them stabilize until we can get them further out for housing and things like that. So that's the difference between the emergency shelter and the emergency warming piece, emergency services, emergency warming piece. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not good at that. Just a little background on myself. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice and business administration and psychology. My master's is in criminal justice and public policy and safety. Basically what we're trying to do is make a community campus here for everyone, right? So we have a lot of people coming into our community. Most of them are here. We have housing and homeless insecurity, right? We have poverty, which that's the reason why we're bringing in the food pantry and things. We're going to bring in Marion Matters. I partner with Marion Matters, which created the Crawford Matters Initiative, which teaches people how to level up out of poverty. They'll come in, they'll interview you folks, city council members. They've never done that before, just like these students are doing here today. What we're trying to do is bring something new into our community. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Marion Technical College.
Yes, hello. My name is Dr. Stacy Campbell. I'm the Chief Academic Officer and Vice President at Marion Technical College. Angela came back to us not long ago, gave us a tour of the facility, and we love to see what she's bringing and how to collaborate with the community. So Marion Tech was established in 1970. Since then, we've continued to grow. We have a record number of students, but 3,700 students is the highest we've ever had in the community. Ages range from 14 to 72 years old. We have a CCP population, so College Credit Plus. We have free summer camps in the summer, esports, engineering, healthcare. And what we're doing, what we can do and what we can bring to your community. I'm not from here, from Sycamore, but I'm also a nurse. And you'll see me at the weekends here at your hospital. So sometimes you can see me out at Galion Hospital. I also had my third baby here. I have 3 boys. And I had my third baby here. One of my favorite things to see, 3 students were in the hospital that delivered my baby. Additionally, when I work alongside alumni that I have taught when I was the Dean of Nursing. So we see our students here in your community and how we can expand that. That's Marion Tech's mission. How can we bring accessibility, diversity? How can we bring us to you as well? So by setting up a location, we can set up a computer lab so students can take online classes. Eventually, as the building grows, we can set up on-site and bring our college and courses to you. We have online courses. There's a list here in the book that we have. We have Aspire and GED to help people in the community get their GED. That's free. We have micro certificates, which are courses that can be completed in less than a year, usually 2 semesters. Those are grant funded, and everyone that's been taking those have done that for free. So not only do we have courses that are offered that you sign up for and take, we also have several courses that are covered by grants and scholarships that can be offered in your community.
Can I touch on something?
Yes.
Also, Marion Technical College, they're willing to come in. There's some jobs here in our local community that we can't fill. With the water plant, this, and that. They're willing to come in and create a curriculum to fill those gaps. Meaning, our city isn't rich, right? We can only afford so much. We can fill those gaps by Marion Tech creating that curriculum to certify these individuals, the people that we work with, to fill our pipeline, right? So we can fill those jobs at a reasonable wage.
Yeah. We have Workforce Solutions that does that. So we have different factories and industries that come to us asking, hey, can you bring in a leadership course or a communication course to help advance through the pipeline within the industry? My husband's actually teaching FANIC and PLC courses in Morrow County right now at a location in the Miller Center out there. We have potential for on-site classes. We also have a dedicated faculty member that lives here in your community that will come out to the center and help with registering for Marion Tech, applying for Marion Tech. applying for financial aid, helping with courses, if someone needs help with the computer, working through that. Big one we have right now is we are starting the AI certificate. And not only that, teaching introduction to AI, so how you can use AI within your current jobs and expand upon that. We have partnerships. We have created our own food pantry, so we can form connections through that. We have started a workforce closet, so people donate like business use nice outfits, so our students just go in, pick up an outfit, and they can go on to the interviews. So we've been working with different techniques on how we can collaborate and bring this to your community.
Yeah, right here to the Peace Lutheran. So that's one big piece, right? The college in Galion. We'll actually have, go ahead.
So, to explain a little bit more how your presence would be in Galion, like you would actually have courses here and
Yes, so right now we have to start out until the building was complete. We'd start out with online courses in the computer center, and our faculty member would be there to help. Like she would be there, so if anybody would have questions, they could use the computer or didn't have internet, they could come out to the center, use the computer lab. We'd have an instructor there to help with the computer usage or answer questions about assignments. And as the building is complete, we could have offer collaborative courses out here. So if you tell me, I want a nurse aid course out here to run, we could set up and we'd have to get certified through the Ohio Department of Health for that. But then we could set that up so we could have nurse aid courses out there.
I would like to be a permanent facility.
Yeah.
Actually, a permanent presence here, so it's neat to see, because maybe this could develop into more of a presence in Galion.
Yes.
That's the
That would
goal. They would start at the facility with a computer lab. We're gonna, actually MJS will run the computer lab. They will have an on-site facilitator, and then we will build out, because there's certain certifications. It does take a little bit of time, but you could start next term by taking those classes online right away, which is great, because we don't have that here. And beyond with the Marion Tech and the courses there, we did the computer lab.
There's an area for a student center.
Yeah, student center.
So student center. And from there, we can have business courses out here.
Yeah, business administration. In your packet, guys, there's a whole list that came from the president of Marion Technical College, which they
those are our list of online courses right now.
Yeah, right. Then we'll be online, and then we'll build out so we can actually have faculty here. Because the classrooms, I don't know if any of you have been through the Peace Lutheran, it's 3 stories of the fellowship hall, and it's all classrooms, right? So we want to donate the first floor to not just Marion Tech, we have Marion Matters, which created the Crawford Matters Partnership. Those are those level up courses, right? Those budgeting and poverty, how to get out of poverty, things like that. Beyond that, Aspire for adult education, and then we were going to do some other groups like peer support. So I am a peer supporter. I have lived experience, and I work directly in that realm with criminal justice and with addiction services. So basically, as we build out the program, I'm only giving you the first year tonight, guys, but as we build it out within like the next 3 years, we will have clinical services in Galion because it is a need for counseling services, addiction services, AOD, things like that. But beyond that, what we can start right away would be with our church services. We can start with the NA, the AA, anything like that, any type of Bible studies and stuff like that. We can start with the emergency shelter services. We can start with the food pantry and the clothing closet. As we've stated, Galion is poverty stricken. A lot of people can't afford $7 for a t-shirt out of Goodwill, right? So this is a needs-based program. So anybody that comes to us with a referral can get clothes for job interviews, clothes for work boots, things like that. That's what this is about. Again, we partner with the Red Cross so they can bring in emergency shelter services when we do suffer those floods and tornadoes and things that happen beyond our control in our community. Recovery. So I do have partners in the recovery realm, right? So I don't know if you guys know this. We have 2 recovery houses right here in Galion as we speak. We have Alpha. Alpha is a 24-bed program that has men in sober living. There's never been a police report because there's no trouble out there. We also have the Paradise Revival House, which is a 5-bed current facility right now that's never had any trouble. I partner with these folks. I do not work with people in active addiction. I do referral services. I refer them out. I do case management. Once they get through that addiction, once they realize that, hey, they want to go a different way, that's when I come in. That's when I work with them. I do case management. And we do education. I do workforce development. I have partnerships throughout the state of Ohio. Not only here locally within the surrounding 4 counties, which is Marion, Morrow, Crawford, and Richland, but beyond that, I'm all the way down through Dayton and up into Cleveland. So this will be eventually a statewide initiative, but I'm focusing it right here in Galion because it's needed. The gaps are here. I know a lot of us don't see that because we work 9 to 5. We get off work at 5, we go home to our families. But not all of us have that luxury, right? So either housing insecure, employment insecure, food insecure. It's here and it's local. I know that not a lot of us see that. I get that. But I work directly with the law enforcement here. Officers are born. They call me when they don't know what to do. And here I have to take these people to Mansfield for a warming shelter. They're on Diamond Street. Or I'll have to take them to Marion to a facility when they're trying to get sober. These are my referral networks. I have a lot of community partners. I can't list them all. I've got a bunch. But they're right there in front of you. There's many people that we work with. We work with Healing Hearts. We work with a bunch of different counseling facilities. This is not what we're doing today. What we're doing today is going to benefit our community. But later in the build-out, that's what I'd like to see happen, is where we can bring some counseling facilities and stuff in there later. It has to be, I have to be the licensure and all that other. But what we can start today will benefit our community. We can start with a college. We can start with a food pantry. We can start with a clothing closet, right? We can make our presence. We can sponsor those parks. We can provide volunteers out there to do these parks, right? So we can come and work with you guys, help do some building maintenance, some of the buildings that are deteriorating here in town, some of the fundraising events that Galion does, the parades and stuff like that. We can help out with that. That's what we're here. That's what we're trying to do in our community. I'm already here. I'm active. I'm active in 4 counties, but I'm looking for a brick and mortar, and I believe that God. Sorry about my faith language. I am a Christian, but he brought me into that church for a reason, because it's a staple in our community. It is. It's one of the founding churches, and he has opened doors for me that no other man can open. And I'm telling you right now, I think it'd be a really good place for us to open and start with the at Peace Lutheran Church. We're not here for an ask. I know, right? I see your face. We're not here for an ask. I don't need approval. I want community buy-in. I want you guys to like what we're doing. I'm trying to build this community up for real. There's nothing much here, guys. What we can do is I can provide labor to your guys' businesses. I can provide labor to sponsor those parks, and I can give these guys hope. So does anybody else have anything else to add before I close it up? Or any questions for Port Authority or anything? Go ahead, Alina. Yes, Alina, our board secretary.
My name is Alina Fox. I am born and raised here in Crawford County. Grew up in Bucyrus. Have a lifetime of service in the community. That's just my heart, and I've got 10 years experience working with NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. I've got a bachelor's degree from the Ohio State University in psychology, as well as a master's from Phoenix Online in psychology behavioral health. So a lot of experience. My first career was food service, so I've lived in Columbus, I've lived in Las Vegas, I've been out there and seen other communities and how they manage and do. And then I've had the wonderful opportunity to come back home and join my family again, watch the nieces and nephews get older. But I've continued that volunteering and that service. I've been a long-time Red Cross blood donor. I volunteer and work on the board of the Crawford County Parks Council, do a lot of that interaction with the community. I'm on the Bucyrus Tree Commission. So I've got a lot of service and a lot of wonderful opportunities. I've engaged with Angela and 10JS. I'm currently the secretary on the board. And I'm happy to see some of the work and the initiatives that we've done in just a short time since I've known Angela, since June. So I'm really excited. I also lived here in Galion for a couple of years in my youth. So I have a lot of friends in this community, and I'm happy to be part of this organization and this initiative, and look forward to seeing how we can help each other build it up and be a win-win. So thank you.
I forgot to mention veteran services. So I do work with veterans. I can't believe I forgot that. I help with taking them transportation's huge, right? A lot of them don't have transportation, don't have a license. PTSD is real. Coming back home from out of service, either their family's gone or this or that change. I do work with veterans for counseling and for transportation services as well. That is a big arm of ours. I didn't put a lot of that in there, which I should have. But is there any other questions or anything I can ask? Yeah, sure, yes.
So if the college is a trade, what would be in college, or what careers?
What careers? Okay, so business administration, that can put you in a lot of different careers depending on what you want to do. You can get into entrepreneurship too, like me. So I'm the founder of this. Beyond that, I'm going to pass that back to Stacy.
Yeah, we have a wide variety of programs. So we have online programs, we have on-site programs that we can bring out here depending on what the needs of the community are. So if you guys find that, hey, we need a lot of industry, we need engineering, we bring some engineering courses out here, depending on what the need was and what you asked for. Like hospitals big out here, so STNA. We've built STNA programs throughout several other counties. So we set up the STNA, and that's a pathway to nursing, where I come from. That's required in the Marion Tech, so that will get you into nursing homes, hospitals. We have business, which is just a high number of graduates we have out there as well.
And that would be offered to Galion City Schools
Yes.
students?
For sure. Yeah, we're coming in Galion.
And that'd be different than the CCP, so that would be different than what you take CCP with your high schools. But we have on-site, online to start with, and then on-site as we grow.
Yes.
So, thank you.
Yes.
Oh, good.
How much would the college cost?
Okay, so that's like a needs-based also. So there's a thing called FAFSA, which is a financial aid form that they can help you fill out. Considering your age, it'll probably go through your family's income and things, but that would be a question for a financial aid counselor. And we will have that. We will have a person on site where you can ask those types of questions too.
We have a faculty member from your community that will be set up out here to answer those questions, help you to apply. College Credit Plus, which you'll learn about more as you get started at your high school. As you get started, they start coming up to see about 7th grade. So it depends, but College Credit Plus is free for your age. And then as you go, we have micro certificates, which are based by grants, which will cover for a lot of our students. So for example, we have phlebotomy. And that's a micro certificate because you can complete it in 8 weeks, 8 to 16 weeks. And there's a grant that supports that, so that's free. You just have to come in and fill out.
So it sounds like there could be a partnership with the schools type possibility.
For sure. That's definitely in the works, especially for the
I think that's what you guys are thinking, am I right?
I appreciate you.
Angela, what's the time frame as far as having the building completed, ready to go, and start offering the services?
Well, right now, we still are going through design phase and trying to get spaces allocated to the needs. Still have, approval process to go through. So those will probably take, maybe 3 months, something like that, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how quickly everything comes together. And then basically trying to move right into some of these programs. And over time, it may be a phased approach where we might only do one level right now so they can get in there and get started. And then as they develop more, we'll just start doing more of the building. So it may be a year or 2 or 3 even before it's all completed.
Year 1 phase operations though is when we go start in there, just like he said on the ground level, that's pretty much where I'm going to put the education piece. It's important that we start small and build things out appropriately and be stable. I want to make sure that we stay stable. But what we can start with first, with what he said would be the college, right? So college, we start with April. We're looking at property negotiations, and as long as I don't need anything, but I want community buy-in. You know what I mean? I want to know that. I want to make sure you guys are aware of what we're doing because I don't want any under the weather type of thing. I want transparency, right? Because I'm doing this for community betterment. That's the whole purpose of this. Because I believe bringing in college is going to better our whole community, and it's going to take us up out of poverty a little bit. So basically, the college classes, with them being online, we can start next semester in spring. So that's the goal. We're trying to acquire the property. We'll purchase by April 1st if everything's a go and the Port Authority approves. We would acquire April 1st would be our transaction date, and then we want to get the ball rolling as soon as possible because I'm really excited about the college initiative, especially because there's not a lot of that here. There's a little bit of disconnect between here and other communities, and we need something here locally to benefit our kids, our adults, our seniors, and Marion Tech does that. They have free programs for our seniors. We have an aging demographic here. Why not? So that's it. The operations can start soon. Let me tell you on the food pantry. It can take 1 to 3 months to start. So I work with the Salvation Army. Salvation Army, Matthew and Ministries, and the Cleveland Food Bank. The Cleveland Food Bank takes 3 to 6 months to get rocking and rolling. That'll still take us a little bit of time because if you've been through the Peace Lutheran, there's no walk-ins and freezers yet, right? So this would be just dry goods storage. So this is as we build out within our first year projections. You guys have our first year projections in your packets. Yeah, so you can see a little bit more about what we're building out within the first year and what we can bring back to our community and put back into the community financially.
One thing you just mentioned was the community food bank, and
yes.
It's funny you mentioned Cleveland. food bank. I spent, through work, we always pick a charity every year. Around Christmas time when we go, we spend the day and donate our time.
Okay.
And I think last year we chose to go to the Cleveland Food Bank, and wow, that place is impressive. If you've never been and never donated your time there, wow. The amount of stuff that goes in and goes out. But one of the things that we, you know, my wife's a teacher here in town, and we've always thought like there is nowhere in town for that. We've got the school, which is once a month. They get, the turnout is crazy for that. So I do think that would be good for the community.
For sure.
My other question that came to mind was you mentioned the transaction. What is the plan as far as with the property? Are you going to acquire it
Yeah,
through the court? Is that the plan?
that is the plan. I want to make sure that you guys are aware, because I'm not trying to do anything under the weather, right? I want to make sure everything's transparent, because there's been other things on the board, right? It's been empty for 2 years. They want to put an event center in there. There's no parking. Come on now. There's a few things they've tried to do. It hasn't. But when we were taken in there, it's 3 floors of educational classrooms, right? It's a huge fellowship hall with a huge kitchen. Disaster services, if anything ever comes up, I can feed the community if we needed to, right? We got that sanctuary, we could put the emergency shelter services in there, because we've got to keep our programmatic space separated from our shelter services, right? It has to be secure, this would be stable. We would eventually, the operation would go into 24-hour operation. It would be staffed on site, making it secure and safe for our community, which also helps our law enforcement, because it'll take a little bit of stress off of them, because when they have these people in our community, they can send them directly to us, because I have the referrals to get them into other programs or services or housing or whatever that looks like for them. That's what I've been doing. I've been in reentry services for 10 years. I've been with the American Red Cross for 5. So this is what we're building. This is what we're wanting to build here in town, as long as you guys think it's a good thing for our community. And I believe that. I don't need you guys to tell me yes, but I just want you guys to support us, because what we're doing is for the greater good of the community. And I just felt like us coming here and being transparent and showing you what we can offer our city helps build us up, right? So that's what we're about, and that's why this presentation is here. And if you guys have any further questions, that's the way. Yes, Dr. Felmer.
Oh, go ahead.
You and I have been talking about this
Yes.
since August. And what I love about it is you're addressing a lot of the issues that we have in town. The food bank, shelter, education for our kids. Because, you know, at the end of the day, our community is only going to grow if we can retain people. And that's both the older population and the younger population, as you can see here. So kudos to you. I know you put a lot of time into this, and we've had a lot of conversations, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and
As this develops, we'll explore the volunteer opportunities, because you mentioned that.
okay, yeah, I can, sure. So I work in reentry services. I work with a lot of different reentry services. Then are people coming out of housing insecurity, incarceration, a whole bunch of stuff, rehabilitation. So volunteer services, I would take these people and have them, they come into our program. They do our life skills classes. We get them acclimated back into society. These are a lot of veterans that are coming back into our community, right? They need help with acclimating. And then we volunteer out in the community. So as they come and they get these educational services, whether that be through Marion Tech or Marion Matters, or through our programs through MJS, they would be volunteering in the community. The program itself, help me with this, you ready? Building on with volunteers. They will come into the community. We're going to give back. That's really how we want to do this. I have sponsorships through certain. Yeah, go ahead, step in. Your turn. I am not a public speaker. I'm winging it. I am so winging it.
Oh, yes, I'm Stephen Post. I was born here, raised here, graduated Galion High School in Old Burnville. But I'm here doing the operations end, so that's kind of where I'd be going into volunteers and such. There are programs where they will get certifications, they'll be able to do mechanical work, they'll be able to do kitchen work. That kitchen that's in there, we're hoping to build that out so it would be able to get food certified, so that if you have a restaurant in town, you can actually bring them on to cook. They've got certification, you can do it. And do that with a lot of different things that we have here in the community. And the idea is that they are here, they're part of that program, they're receiving services, and they'll do volunteer time. So I think like a month ago, we were talking about, yeah, we could have volunteers come and sponsor a park, clean it up, maybe do some painting, maybe keep the mulch up, keep the appearance of that up, We don't have a lot of parks, but we could do something like that, for instance, and that would be a community benefit. It's something also that the city doesn't have to pay for. Because I know, because I know that, budgetary concerns for everybody in the area is pretty tight. You also have, people who are doing mechanical things. And some of these people have skills, because maybe they had become drug addicted, lost everything. They're coming in to get reacclimated, brought back in the community, but maybe they were a mason. Maybe they had other hard skills that, electrical, plumbing, and they could come and they could volunteer for some of the infrastructure in town. I know that, some of that could use a little bit of facelift.
When I say reentry services, I assume that everybody knows what I'm talking about. I work with people that are reentering society. They reenter with skills. Some of them with certifications, like you said, with electrical, with plumbing, HVAC, kitchen work, things like that. So that's what we would pipeline. This is where it gets really good. Our businesses here locally benefit because the WOTC tax credit. So when they hire a second chance individual, they automatically get a tax credit, right? That individual gets a job, that wants a job, that's not using drugs or not anything violent or anything like that. So the reentry, that's what I'm talking about. When people are coming back, we're not bringing them into our community, they're already here. We're going to help them get a job. We're going to help our business owners get tax breaks. We're going to help our parks get cleaned up. That's what this is all about. This is not bringing anything new bringing anything new into our community. It's the people that are already here that need a hand up and not a hand out. That's exactly what we're doing. Yes, Lynn, go ahead.
Just a logistical question with the building. We were here about a year ago, and one of my first interactions with Mr. Rantola was talking about the furnaces, saying it was a six-figure fix. He gave a proposal that, frankly, even in council didn't make much sense to me, and it sounded worse. I'm so happy that he said never went through, or this would have a six-figure lien on it that would make this a mess to ever acquire. Have you found a solution to the heating problem or a means to deal with it?
We have. So Kosick, we worked with Carl Kosick. He's been in the building. We're in our due diligence phase. Some inspections have been done. Like I said, we were in property negotiations. If everything's a go, I'm assuming we'll get a little bit of help from the Port Authority because there was it's like a little missteps on their behalf too, but it is what it is. And maybe if they can help us with one of the boilers, I know one of the boilers is out, but I did speak with Carl and he said that can be fired up. But we are working on other funding avenues and streams too, because there's not just the furnaces that there's a problem. It's the permastone and some of the work that needs to be done on the outside. So as our grant writer, if you have more questions, is right there, we are going after funding not only just for our programming use, but also for the foundation of the church, because the church is a staple in our community, right? A lot of people are emotionally tied to that church. That's the reason why when I came in here, 8 months ago, raising my hand like, hey, I got a program for your church. I really didn't think that was going to be the place, especially after I seen it. But God has opened doors for us. So we've got some funding streams and avenues that we can travel to actually fix the foundation of that church, to get some of the stuff like the boilers and things like that fixed. Right now, it's actually operating. There's 4 of the 5 boilers operating. The church is warm. It's not perfect, but we can build that out. So there's not a lot of severe damage. The roof is being fixed, as you guys are aware. There's inspections that have been done. The kitchen's in fairly good shape, so the building is not as bad as I originally thought when I first walked in there, because it was overwhelming. But now that we've hired an architect and we're doing our due diligence and we're having those inspections done by professionals, right? I'm not a professional. I'm not nobody in buildings. I build programs. I don't build buildings. So basically, yeah, Michael, that's exactly what's happening. We're working with that. We're getting the inspections done, and then we're going after certain funding avenues specifically for that realm. And that's foundational line and things like that. So yes. Any other questions? Yes.
Hello. First, it seems like there's 2 purposes for this building.
Yes.
Okay. Which is the one that's closest to your heart and the association and everything? To help society, citizens, or to build the college, or you have...
You want my passion?
Yeah.
You want my passion?
Yes.
Okay. My passion is housing, right? Housing. The biggest problem in the state of Ohio, the biggest problem in the United States right now is housing. These people that are reentering society, they're homeless. They're addicted. They're this, and that. They're getting out of treatment programs and they ain't got nowhere to go. So basically, yeah, I do have a housing initiative that won't be in phase one. That'll be later down the road because first of all, just to be honest, I want community buy-in. I'm here for the right reason. I want to build up our community. I want to provide workers to the labor force and I want to provide tax breaks to our employers. I mean, that's the real reason why I'm here. But eventually I'd like to do a housing initiative. Now, I'm not saying that that'll be at that church specifically, but we can work out of that church and then we can build our own housing initiative outside of city limits. That would be the goal. But where I would like to start is in emergency housing, shelter services. Yeah, eventually, maybe at the end of the year or so, if we could turn the third floor into a little housing initiative for emergency services or something like that, okay, great. But for long-term housing, I eventually have a long-term 5-year plan to build a facility outside of town for housing. That's my goal. I would really like to see that happen. And I have support from a man right there, Mr. Walters. Oh, Walters. Will you speak a little bit on that? Because we have spoke on the housing and the goals and please.
Yeah, so I wish Angela had a little passion.
I think her public speaking skills need to be polished a little bit.
You notice she let Stephen speak for about 30 seconds and then took over again. So I'm just excited about the possibilities that lie ahead. And obviously, as we talk about any big steps we take, there's risk involved. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. And Angela certainly has the passion, and she's ready to move forward. And so I'm excited to just be a small part of what she's doing and just give her my opinion about a few things along the way. But just really excited about what God has for the future.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to add one final thing. If I
Go ahead.
I think one of the most important things about this is that people in reentry, people in recovery, people being rehabbed, if you don't give them a community, if you don't give them new, other productive ways to be a member of your society and your communities, they're going to go right back to the old stuff because you didn't give them those opportunities. We have to be here. We have to build this. If you don't, they're going to fail again. And then whose fault is it? Ours. Because we didn't rise up to that opportunity. We got to meet them where they're at, just like you said.
Well, hey guys, I'm lived experience. Just so you know, lived experience, right? So I work in reentry. I've worked in reentry, but I've also lived through reentry. And I'm sitting here in front of you today with a master's degree trying to build a program in your community that I know will be successful. So there's that. Look me up if you need to. All right, guys, I think our presentation's come to a close. And thank you. I hope you support us. And I hope we're able to move forward and open up the doors April 1st. I know that's Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Dr. Fellner, I hate to interject here, but if I could get those kids up there to get a picture with you guys. Awesome, you guys are celebrities now. Step up. They gotta have some proof, I told them.
I don't want to do it. What's going to be the easiest one?
This is up here, right? The states. You guys are fine right there. Just go up behind you.
Yeah.
That's one group. That's good. Right? Don't fight. Good job.
Sorry, guys.
Again, we appreciate the opportunity. These kids are doing something that they've never done.
Thanks, guys. Good question.
So we're not going to throw you in jail tonight. That's what I was working on
By the way, guys, several of these people I went to school with or I had in school. That's no matter how old I am, we get back.
We have stories if you would like to have. A lot of stories.
Some of them have known me for a long time also. All right, thanks again. You guys ready?
You guys going to take off now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just a comment from me about our First of all, that was great. Troy always does a good job bringing kids in. That's stressing how important the civic responsibilities are. Just want to say something personally to the presenter, Angela, and the ideas that she brought forth. I think everybody, myself, when we ran for council, we wanted to do something for the community. And a lot of times it's decisions that aren't popular or were confined to just the budgetary constraints. But we want to be compassionate and empathetic and help our community. Elena, you addressed, our responsibility as citizens. Those people fell into addiction because alcohol and drugs weren't a problem, they were the solution to the problem. We've got to provide another solution.
Amen.
And that's what it is. So I'm jazzed about, supporting you.
Thank you.
And, I'm sure it'll be a topic of discussion for a while.
I'll be here.
Okay.
I'll be here.
All right, we're on to legislation. First piece of legislation is Resolution 2026-2.
Resolution number 2026-2, entitled Resolution Approving the Appointment of Ken Botkins to the Galion Port Authority Board of Directors and declaring an emergency.
I think we discussed this last time. I think this is going to go to a third reading. Is that right?
Yeah.
So anything to add for anybody? Okay. Next item is Resolution 2026-5.
Resolution number 2026-5, entitled A Resolution Appointing Todd Brown as a voting member to the Galion Design Review Board and declaring an emergency. Situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Michael, you were formally on that, and Mr. Brown has volunteered to take your place, so we will revisit that in 2 weeks. Legislation, third item is ordinance number 2026-4, an alley vacation.
Ordinance number 2026-4, entitled an ordinance vacating an unnamed east-west alley, 16.5 foot wide alley located between in-lots 120 and 122, being 0.075 acres more or less, and reserving utility easements.
This came through, I watched Mr. Woodman talk about it in committee. You want to just
just a little bit of insight on that. I was actually on the board with Mr. Horn over there prior to joining council. We had good discussion about what was entailed there. This is for flip packaging. They're going to be expanding, which is great for obviously our community. They're in the process now of putting that building up. I'm assuming it's probably almost under roof.
Right. For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much under roof. I don't know if there is a huge rush on it, but I've talked with Nikki several times. I know we got a sanitary running through there, but nothing is going to be affected. They're going to pour some concrete to run their trucks, their lifts back and forth between the buildings. Tore down a couple not very good houses, good for the neighborhood. There's nothing negative about this. It doesn't affect anybody traveling through there. Still have our utility easements, so.
There's not an emergency clause with that, so after the passage, assuming it passes, it'll be 30 days.
Yes, you're correct.
So, but I believe that suspension of rules is still.
Yeah, you would still, it would start the 30-day clock earlier.
So, with that being said, he has been waiting on this for quite some time. I believe, Matt, can you give me some insight? How long has it been now? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So, with that being said,
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance 2026-4.
I have a motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Strickler and Mr. Weber seconds. Roll call?
Mr. Strickler,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Woodmansey,
yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Richard,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Now I'd like a motion to pass ordinance 2026-4.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 2026-4.
Mr. Brown makes the motion and Mr. Woodmansey seconds. Roll call, please.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Woodmansey,
Yes.
Mr. Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Richard,
Yes.
Mr. Strickler,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
And the ordinance passes, so that will go into effect 30 days. Final item on the legislation is ordinance 2026-5.
Ordinance number 2026-5 entitled Ordinance Setting the Power Cost Adjustment as Required per Ordinance number 2015-39 and declaring an emergency.
All right, we have
Mr. President.
discussion.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd first like to thank Mr. Woodmassey for taking my committee at that point this last week because I was unavailable. Appreciate it very much. This is a twice a year ordinance that we review the PCA. PCA is essentially the power cost adjustment that we have to look at whenever, because it basically is paying the bill. Okay, this has nothing to do with maintenance. This has nothing to do with anything else other than the cost of power. Last year, the council which I sat on was brought to us that the cost of power was going to be jumping exponentially over the next year. So council at that time chose, instead of to wait and put a sudden huge increase at the end of the time frame, we decided to do it incrementally, and what you see before you is basically that. This comes from Sawville, who has made the recommendation that we move the PCA to the indicated amount. Essentially, for the average individual that we consider here in Galion, they're going to look at if this passes, $83.75 to their bill.
Is this a flat fee or is this a rate?
No, it's based
No,
on
it's a rate
It's a
change.
base amount, but that's what it usually.
Okay.
But this is just passing a bill from the power company,
So I think I was roughly 1,000.
750
700.
kilowatt
Yeah,
hours is
that's
what
the
the average, yeah.
I think, one thing that needs to be made very clear, and I think we did with Nikki and Brian at the committee meeting, but this is nothing more than us paying the bill that comes into the city again. It's not feeding somebody's pockets, it's not anything like that. So, if somebody has a better solution, that'd be great.
Well, it's one of those unpopular decisions that I referenced
Absolutely.
earlier. And it's always been, for all of the years I've been on council, the hot button ticket, and it will continue to be. And we don't mean to make light of, well, it's only, because there are people in our community that are, having a struggle. But I saw the bill from AMP, and, we want to make sure that when we flip the switch, our lights go on and maintain that. And until a better solution is determined, this is what we have. Any other discussion?
I apologize, I think I found a small errata. I think if you're looking, as I'm reading the fourth paragraph into the fifth, the current calculation is 1.65 cents. And I know down at section 1, they want to change it to 2.15. I'm thinking the recommendation was that the PCA be set to the 2.15 cents. Am I correct? Is that second one where it repeats the 165 in errata? That should be the 2.15?
Oh, okay, because,
I apologize for being confusing.
okay, up here in the second.
I don't think we
whereas.
changed the substance of it passed, but I think
Yeah.
you are saying the recommendation was the up to the 2.1?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
02, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was my bad, sorry, yep. So the second to last whereas needs corrected to read 0.02150, correct? Is
I
that what you're
believe
saying?
so. I believe that's the recommendation.
Yeah, that was my bad, because it's correct down in the section 1.
It's correct in section 1. Where are we correcting it?
In here in the whereas, up here,
Okay.
recommendation,
I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to amend ordinance number 2026-5, where it says, whereas recommendations received from these official offices is that the PCA be set at the amount, and I would like to change that number to 0.02150.
Mr. Weber makes the motion.
Second.
I saw Mr. Strickler's hand for a second. Roll call.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Strickler,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Woodmansey,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Richard.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. The motion carries. And now I would like to entertain, what do you guys, are you going
Mr.
to
President,
suspend the rules on the amended ordinance?
I would like to suspend the rules. The letter from Saulville says that this needs to take place by March 1st. So in order to accomplish that, it is set as an emergency, so it'll come into effect immediately, but we need to pass it tonight in order for it to happen before the March 1st deadline that you're suggesting that we do that by. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, it would be effective on March 1st, which actually is going to hit your February usage. So
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and pass ordinance, suspend the rule
And proceed to the final
and
reading.
proceed to the final reading.
Okay. Mr. Weber makes the motion to suspend the rules on amended ordinance 2026-5. Mr. Richard seconds. Roll call.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Richard,
Yes.
Mr. Strickler,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Woodmansey,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gribble.
Yes.
Motion carries, and for the suspension of the rules, now I'd like a motion to pass amended ordinance 2026-5. Mr. Richard makes the motion. Mr. Woodmansey seconds. Roll call.
You want me to ask for any further discussion?
Is there any further discussion? No.
Okay. Mr. Richard,
Yes.
Mr. Woodmansey,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Strickler,
Yes.
Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
The ordinance passes and will be signed into effect immediately. On to item 6, other business. There is a liquor permit transfer.
Yeah.
Can you give us a...
Yes, this is for out there, the 24 store. It's currently registered to R. Shandat LLC, and it's being transferred to S&G Stores 2 LLC, S&G 127, same address.
Where is it at?
It's the 24 store, the Valero.
Oh, okay.
598.
Yeah. So it's that. So it's just transferring that liquor license to another name. So that's all it is.
So the liquor permit transfers usually are a done deal unless we have any objections. We don't need to vote on it unless we're suspicious of something, so.
Yeah.
I think this is just nod our heads and approve.
Yeah, so.
We'll move on to item B, amended council rules. You need to move it?
No, that is proposed by Mr. Watkins, if he wants to explain
Sure,
what's
sure.
going on there. It's
So-
only one change.
Yeah, in committee for Parks and Recreation, we've had discussion of changing the name of the committee to Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And without going into the whole process, we're basically just trying to give tourism a seat at the table in city council so that it's something that we discuss on a regular basis in committee. We think it's going to have a big effect on the uptown district, the historic district, organizations like the History Center, the Galion Community Theater, the Gill House, the train depot. What this is all going to come to is the development of the TID district. It's going to help us with grants with those organizations I just mentioned and others. It does not have to be contiguous, so we can bring in the reservoirs, the disc golf, and some of the other things in town that we can use to promote tourism. So in a nutshell, that's all we're doing is changing the name of the committee so that tourism has a seat at the table in Galion City Council and representation for all of our tourism type activities and businesses in this town.
And that's on page 6, if you guys want to know. That's the only change that's been made to the council rules.
My only question though, is why don't we put that under economic development?
Well, I think it falls under recreation as much as it does. In my opinion, I don't think it would be bad to put it under economic development, but I think there's a lot on the table there. So I think if you put it with the recreation aspect, because we already have recreation in Parks and Recreation, and maybe there's an assumption that when we're referring to recreation, we're talking about recreation in the parks. But I personally feel that recreation is a lot bigger than that. I think that we're going to see changes in Uptown Galion that's going to bring entertainment venues like the Brickyard in Mansfield. That's definitely recreation. And I think.
Well, no, I don't. I agree with the recreation part of it in that regard. The only thing I'm wondering is, the committee has been a lot of parks and recreation for the citizens, whereas the other would be more of a venue for bringing people into the community. That's why I was kind of wondering if it would be better. And the other thing is that going to is the Parks and Rec going to lose out as a entity because tourism is a big window.
Correct.
Okay, and that's the only thing I was wondering about.
Yeah, and I see your point, and I think you bring up a good point. But I think the counter to that was, like you said, there's a lot in tourism, a big thing. Well, economic development's a pretty big thing too. We're talking about industrial parks, we're talking about industry, we're talking about. So I think if we're looking for the smaller window, it actually is Parks and Recreation to where you do it. With what we do with the Freeze Foundation that I served on for many years, we're still going to be doing that for our parks. So we're not going to be taking anything away from that. But I agree with your point that it could fall under either category. I personally would like to see it under Parks and Recreation.
My only input to anything about what you just said is our existing parks come first. Right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, we can build 50 new ones, but that does us no good if we can't maintain the ones we have.
Correct. Right.
So that comes first.
Take a few back actually, but yes.
What do we need to?
And what this, I need,
Just,
in order to change this, we need someone to make a motion in a second, and then we vote. That's all it is. A motion and a second and a vote. So.
Mr. President, I do before we go through that. I did have, since we have council rules open right now, and we're kind of going through this. There was an item that was added in the last term. It's been kind of a difficult thing to keep track of and monitor. There's a quarterly statement that it's on page, if you look at page 2, under rule of order of business. I thought we just kind of talk about it. If we decide to do nothing, that's fine too. But there's the president is required to read, and it was just adopted last year, actually. The president was required to read a quarterly statement. And I know that was something that there's no like set date on when that statement is
I think
read.
it's supposed to be the first meeting of the month, which I even forget it too. I think it says it doesn't say it there. It says it in, let me help you there. It refers to it there, and then it's on page 8. The conduct statement is read quarterly at the first meeting in January, April, July, and October. We missed January, sorry.
Okay. See, and the reason I bring this up is we've had this on here since maybe the middle of last year. And since we've had it was missed, and then when I was council president, I had to go back and go through and do it because we missed it. And it was missed a second time at the beginning of this year. I just feel like, I don't know if it's even necessary, and it's something that the statement reads, so this, you can read it in there, but the statement reads, Galion City Council members maintain a respectful atmosphere during the meetings, comply with laws, ensure all actions and decisions foster accountability, and conduct themselves in a manner with the best interest of the community and the citizens in mind. And that's supposed to be read like one meeting a quarter, the first week. It's difficult. I think we put together like a little bit hasty when we did, and I'm just suggesting that maybe we either remove it completely or we find a way that it's not something that gets missed. I don't know if it's necessary myself, but
I'm with you. I believe that's something that we all, when we swore into to take on this position, we've already done that.
And I think we have a process too. If someone is out of line, then there's a process for us to raise that to council board and have discussions about it.
There is a process.
Yeah.
yeah, it's in council.
So it's like
It's already in place.
It's like an ethics discussion.
Maybe removing it?
Yeah.
You could leave it in the conduct and decorum sections if there's a conduct and remove it from the protocol of reading it. As an example, there's a code of ethics for law enforcement. It's not read to everybody. You sign it when you first take the oath of office.
Yeah.
If you do something wrong or something that meets in that you don't act on the decorum, you don't follow this, you come back and you say you have violated council rules. You read them. It says right here that this is how you're supposed to act. You don't have to read it to them every time. It's assumed that you guys have read the council rules and know how to act. So you can eliminate it from the protocol of reading it quarterly, but leave the statement in the rules, the conduct and decorum section. And it's there.
So we can just amend it right there under that.
Yeah, take out the stuff in parentheses under.
You just take out that stuff.
And then remove it on page 2.
Therefore, the statement is still within the council rules, but it's not read on a quarterly basis. It's there, and that's how you're supposed to act.
So-
So vote on that, or works?
We have to vote to remove it.
Well, you can amend right now. We can amend this because,
If we amend this and then we pass it, that would be.
right,
All we
yeah.
have to do is really eliminate the part in parentheses of section 3.
Well, you can
don't even
remove,
have to.
I think you gotta remove 2 also.
you remove this whole thing. You just remove,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
On page 2, you have to remove the.
Right, but just remove what's in parentheses.
Right.
No, because then you have to read the council conduct.
And then remove line.
Yeah, because that's why, if that's the order of business, we don't do it right after the application is what it's telling me to do there. Yeah.
Completely eliminate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remove 3 on page 2.
I see.
There would be one more amendment then, on page 4, the last sentence under the presiding officer's duties, the president of council shall read the conduct on a quarterly basis, written in rule, that would need to be struck as well.
On page 4, was there?
Yeah, basically right in the middle of the page, the president of council shall read.
The last sentence of Rule 12.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would need, yeah, and then the conduct statement can stay right there where it's at, well, except for the part the conduct statement, you can just, then you would need to take out read quarterly.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I would take the,
Yeah, scratch that whole thing.
yeah, so line 3 out of the
Yeah, I think you're right.
itinerary.
Yeah. Line 3 out of that, and then page,
Can I make a motion for committee name?
a new committee name?
No,
Do you want it different than what I have on there?
No, but we
I
have
think we have to, I think we have to amend this and then we vote on passing the whole thing.
The whole
thing.
Including the committee name.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion to delete, under Rule 7, or G, Rule 7, delete council conduct statement, which is a number 3.
Mhm.
And then
Page 4, the last,
then remove under B, Rule 12, the last sentence
yeah,
of the president of council shall read the conduct statement on a quarterly basis. On to the end of that, conduct and form, remove that also.
And also on page 8.
yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Page 8.
Did we get white out by 55-gallon drums?
No, that's all right, I'll just, because
She has.
I'm marking it, I'll just reprint them, because this isn't a, yeah.
And final amended, after conduct statement, remove what is in parentheses, but leave the statement there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
I will second that. I'm not repeating it, but I will second it.
And we also,
Wait a minute.
so there's another amendment.
Oh, yeah, we gotta get to this.
That's already in here. That's already in here, yeah. That's, that's already amended, that's in here, so.
So we've got complex, not complicated, it's complex. Motion on the table by Mr. Brown for amendments.
I seconded it.
Mr. Woodman, seconds.
Okay.
Is that a roll call or all in favor?
It'd be all in favor, you can do all in favor.
All in favor.
Same flavor.
Aye.
Yeah. And then opposed, same sign, that way we have, no.
Any opposed?
Okay, so we know it's similar then, okay.
So unanimous and vote to amend the council rules. Good.
Now we need, now we need a motion to approve approve the amended council rules.
Thank you. So
Sorry.
Mr. Watkins makes the motion to approve the amended council rules.
I'll say.
Mr. Weber seconds. Again, all in favor?
No, I will roll call this, yeah. So, Mr. Watkins,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Woodmansey,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Gribble,
Yes.
Mr. Richard,
Yes.
Mr. Strickler.
Yes.
Motion
Done.
passes. Next item, in other business, is a discussion of design and review. There was a lively discussion in committee last time, and so I'm going to let Matt, you were passionate about that, I'll just let you kind of rehash the ideas and.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was campaigning, okay, I had a lot of people, and I was approached by many about the design review board and the slow process, business owners' frustrations, that type of thing. What run-ins I've had with them has also been a very unpleasant situation. I believe it acts as an HOA. I believe at one point they saw what potentially good it could have been when we started this, 38 years ago, 40 years ago, something like that. But in the meantime, it just seems like the rules have been, they haven't been working. So the ordinance is 1311, and it's supposed to help economic, social, and cultural well-being of the community. But we've seen a decline in all of those things uptown and everything that's within this district of the design review board. So it's failed on purpose. It's almost like if you do the same thing over and over and over again, and you're getting negative results, then why are we doing this? Okay, so there's been a lot of frustration about this. It's been made well aware, Annie Wolf, who owns H&R, her and Ray, I talked to them today also about either abolishing it or if you revamp it. But if you revamp the whole thing and rework it, where do you start and what are you doing? Because it's not fulfilling its purpose. And if they're not obtaining resources to help the businesses or the residents that fall under these districts, okay, which they claim it's their conduit. They claim they adopt rules from the Secretary of Interior, which according to them, they adopted, we can only use certain materials on these buildings and certain windows and certain siding. But I looked at the Secretary of Interior's website and it said if anything that wasn't mass produced anymore, you can buy mass produced to put on your structures that are historic, as long as it maintains a historical integrity. So, the guidelines are what? How many pages? 114 pages? And the ordinance itself is quite as long.
I sent it to everybody, but I didn't print it.
Well, you sent part of the ordinance.
Oh.
The whole 1311 is
Okay.
a lot. There's a
Well,
lot.
I sent the link to it. And so-
Yeah, and which you showed the districts, the residential districts and the others. Now, I did talk to a few people. We've chased businesses out. Businesses have been litigated over these situations of siding or doing anything else. I don't think that's beneficial. That doesn't say, hey, we're here to help. In fact, there's almost like it's retribution for you making improvements on your building. And if I own a building, I don't think I would ask permission besides going to the city inspector. We just added bumps in the road. We already have building codes. We already have rules, and there's already ordinances that say, we have signed ordinances, we have other ordinances. It's almost like we just said, well, here's another group, you have to ask permission before you do anything else. I feel like these things can fall under the city inspector's hands, as long as, and you can make a rule, just say, hey, you keep the historical integrity, because there is no definite date of historic value. Let's say the hardware store used to be a used car lot, right? But the original building burnt down, so why are they considered historical if it's not a historical building? And then what date do you go back to? There's nothing, it's almost just, they just make rules for whatever suits them. There's a lack of vision.
Yeah. Oh, well, listening to the Laws and Ordinance Committee, and I agreed with both Mr. Woodmansey and Mr. Strickler when they talked about the Richland County building inspectors, because they're the ones that are doing it. It's actually uptown. It's not the Galion building inspector. It's Richland County. I've been meeting with them the past few days. Told them about what you were saying in your situation, and they agreed. And since we're just in the early discussion stages of this, I was thinking that if we were to take, because there's been talks about either abolishing this or changing it and improving it. If we change it and improve it, that's going to take a while. I almost feel like you could say on the back side of the building, on the sides of the building, the second and third floor, you could abolish this altogether, let Richland County handle all of it, because that's what they do, and then we could take our sweet time on the storefront and get that right with historical accuracy. Because it's always been my opinion, and I'm just one of 7, but it's always been my opinion that it's a great thing that we're looking at preserving historical integrity of these storefronts. But like what the Elks went through with the side of their building and the back of the building, that should probably never happen again. I really think you could throw out the sides and the backs and the second and third floor all together, abolish it, and say, we already have a group that's taking care of that. Thanks for your help, but we don't need it anymore. Now let's take our sweet time on the storefront and get that right.
I think with the existing process that we have, keep in mind anything that's being said here is just conversation, it's discussion, nothing is being done. It is almost to a point where we have to abolish this to let it be revamped after the fact. If the property owners, there are a lot of people that don't own their buildings up here. They just have a store there. Well, they don't have much say in their building. So the property owner should ultimately have the say in what he or she does to their building that they paid only for, within the confines of saving the building, right? We can't just let somebody come in, but building codes aren't gonna allow some of that to come in, and just put plywood in place of windows, that's not gonna happen. So, if we were to take, what'd you say, 114 pages?
114 pages.
That's
just
okay, the
guidelines.
guidelines, and then
the ordinance.
and try to go through this, boy, you'd have a fun time going through that, buddy.
May I?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, I started thinking, as I got some indication that there might be some flavor for abolishing design review, and that's actually part of mine. I will have, before we get it to an ordinance form, I'm gonna have to have a better idea of what you want, because altering is different than abolishing.
Absolutely.
So, just to give you guys a little bit of a flavor, it's more than chapter 1311. So I did sort of a cursory review, there may be something else in there, but let's say council ultimately decides to abolish. I'm not telling you to abolish, I'm saying if you do, the legislative drafting will require more than that. So the first things I noticed that were really obvious, you get rid of chapter 1311, that kind of deals with guidelines, gets rid of it, throws it out. Then you go in 130102F and 130502F have references to design review mixed in the ordinance. If you've eliminated design review, you take those out. That's rather easy, but it's just two more pieces that would be in that. If you're merely altering, those would stay. And I'm going to take just a moment. It's going to go through a few different things.
Absolutely.
There's some things to think about. I know 1181.08J10 has some definitions. It's about sign stuff. There's a specific subsection 10 about design review. You'd probably eliminate that and then move the others up 11 on up to 10. I think when you look at 117501 about accessory structures, it talks about C. It's another relatively easy one. Normally you have limitations on accessory structures exceeding 18 feet in height, comma, unless, and then it goes into design review, you'd eliminate that section. So you have to look through all the ordinances, and I don't have a huge number of these, but I kind of wanted to note a few that if you were abolishing, and even if you're altering, you want to think about these things. There is an entire chapter 729, vending machines in design review district 1.
Right.
So again, if you're getting rid of design review, do you wholly eliminate this? Do you modify it? And I think honestly, if you're looking at design review is larger than the uptown district, but let's be fair, it affects the uptown district in particular. If you're going to eliminate some of these guidelines, we know the whole time we've had design review and we've had the uptown zoning and we've had some of the others. If there's some vestige of it, a little bit more detail, you want to get rid of design review, but you want to keep some piece, do you put that in the uptown district parameters?
Right.
And that's something to think about.
And that's probably what we would do. And as far as like the residential, and this is just an idea, but if the residential, if the people living under that district, if they wanted to form their own little historic HOA, there's nothing that stops the city. I just don't think the city needs to be a hand in the residential historic part. I think that should be up. They can petition their neighbors. They can say, hey, do you want to be part of this neighborhood? Do you want it to be historic? And I think that could be in their own hands without, some city enforcement. I don't think that local government should be that kind of enforcement at all, honestly.
Okay, and that's a choice you're free to make. Like I said, I'm not trying to tell you guys how to vote, but I'm just trying to go through some of the mechanical things I noticed. Another one, I know 115105 in the uptown district, there is an outdoor dining provision that runs through design review. So the question is, if you alter, particularly if you abolish, do you eliminate that, or does that simply go to the Board of Zoning Appeals? Replace design review, PZA, and just kind of do it that way. But I think it's something you have to think about as you go in.
So there's a lot of things, what you're saying is, what we're looking at here, there's other pieces that we need to sit here with the outside dining that came about probably around the COVID time frame, right?
Right.
That's a good thing.
Like with the
So, that's a good thing. So what we would have to do is look at that and say, okay, where would we position that at? If we want to keep it, we just have to relocate it from design review to.
I think the Board of Zoning Appeals is probably, if you're fully abolishing, I think if you're going to keep it, it goes to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I think that's the easiest answer mechanically.
So, with everything being said, there is a lot more to look into. This is nothing that we're making a decision on tonight. But the good thing is somebody's already doing, obviously, and what that does, it opens up a lot of discussion. It's going to allow people to listen in if they have, different opinions on it. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is make it so that if you own the building uptown, if you want to buy a business uptown or a building uptown, you can actually, you should want to be able to invest money into that building and not be controlled and dictated on what materials you use and how you do things. We've got to set some boundaries here and figure that out. And with the way that reads, the little bit that I looked into it, holy crap.
Well, it's this to claim that we use the Secretary of Interior and then we don't because we're not allowing mass-produced products to take place or replacement of the historic wood or whatever is up there, or the windows. We have vinyl clad, which are 5 times more than your standard vinyl window, but you can get a standard vinyl to look the same, right? So there's nothing in the Secretary of Interior that says that. It's almost, the hypocrisy is we say one thing and we do another, but then, you know what I mean? We've been fed a line of crap. And so I think, honestly, I'm for abolishing it, and it can be revisited in ordinances to adjust the things that need adjust. But in the meantime, I think this thing has ran its course, and we tried it and it didn't work, and it has repeatedly failed. And when was the last time we got any grant money through?
Well, I think there's been misleading things said about grant money. When we've taken our little field trips to Bell Fountain and other places, it's been said in the past that if we allow certain things like metal siding on the side of an Elks building, that's going to cancel out the library, it's going to cancel out the theater from getting grants and stuff, and that's just simply not true. We found that out. So there's a lot of misinformation that's been put out there, and I don't think that anybody that sits on this council wants to harm the historical integrity of Galion.
Absolutely not.
People watching at home, we're not going to do that. We'll probably go in a direction that will be better for the historical integrity of Galion, because in my opinion, design review doesn't protect it at all right now. They're more concerned about building materials on a 3rd-story window in the back of a building and making sure that historic storefront is accurate. And that's the travesty of it all, because it was created to protect the things that matter, not prevent investment on things that don't matter.
Well, most of the storefronts don't look the same as they did. We have pictures throughout town. You can see them. They don't even look the same anymore. So we passed on that. We've changed on that, and they've been swayed. And so
I talked to one of the longtime business owners in this town, and the comment that was made to me was abolish it. I've been lied to, and I've been lied to for years. It's got to go away. It's only hurting this community.
all right.
That was their words. So
Well, and not to keep revisiting the Elks thing, but when that was going on, it was being said in these chambers that if we allow this metal siding to go on the building, it's going to mess up everybody else uptown from getting a grant. Well, if that's the case, then we don't even have anything to talk about anymore, because the siding went up.
Right.
And it's over. But it's not the case. It's not the truth at all. And that's what we're moving towards, is getting something that's truthful, that preserves our historical integrity, but also encourages investment in Galion.
Mr. President. Yes, sir. I agree with everything that the 3 of you have said. I believe that it could be an overcorrection to abolish it completely. I've seen time and time again in different situations where things are going so bad, not just at the city, but in other instances, things are going so bad for a long time, and somebody steps forward and says, we got to change it all, and everything's changed, and there is overcorrection, and then it becomes a problem in a different direction, and I think that we owe it to ourselves to keep the city protected in that fashion. I hear you with codes and Eric Baldinger, putting him in charge to make sure things are done right, but I think that we need to have a little something in place. I did some research. I tried to find in what time I had from the time that you guys had your meeting till now, and I tried to pull as many cities as I could that have a design review board. I'll list a few of them here. Maybe you all can do some research and pull and find out what they have, I have some of there, and I read through as many as I could of the design review board guidelines for these cities, but Tiffin, Amherst, Willoughby, Hamilton, Chillicothe, Barberton, Hudson, Findlay, Vermillion, Ravenna, Marysville, Greenville, Canfield, Dublin, Akron, Columbus, Berea, Dover, Painesville, Olmsted Falls, Rocky River, Shaker Heights. Julie has this list, she can send it out to everyone. Beechwood, Independence, Lakewood, Cleveland. Some of these are big cities, some of these are not big cities. Some of them are smaller than us.
Yeah, and there's also, you're basically, you've identified a lot, and that's great.
There's a lot. I do have more if you let me finish my thought. I have, so we have the smallest design review boards guidelines I've seen were around 30 pages. The largest was 177 pages, so there's a wide range. I don't think we sit in the highest, but we're not the lowest either. I think that there's a lot of things. What I seen just kind of in general in ours is much more rigid than I've seen a lot of them. I also want to point out that we have, of all the board members that are on design review board, there's only 2 that have current terms. So we have expired terms for everybody else. What I would propose is that we look and we allow Mr. Satterfield to find people that have the same desires that I think everybody agrees that to what you're saying. Like, it's not working the way it is. It's not working at all. I think that it needs to change drastically as well. But I think that without overcorrecting, we should find out who the board members would be, interview them, make sure that after Mr. Satterfield decides who those folks are, bring them in and we do an interview to find out what their long-term goals are and what their passion is to be on the design review board. Make sure that they fit, because we have. So the way that it sets is it's appointed by the mayor. The positions are appointed by the mayor, and then we will vote to pass a resolution to allow those board members to be in place. I also think that what I also would propose is that with our current ordinance, if we can alter our current ordinance, and Mr. Baer, if this is something maybe you could look into, or if it's something that everybody would like to also pursue, altering our ordinance to give us the authority to vote on any changes or alterations in the guidelines of the board. That way, the people that are representing the city have the ability in the final say after the guidelines are created to pass or not allow any changes to be made to those guidelines. That way so my thought is we bring in the right people that are going to do the hard work to create guidelines that we all agree to, and then if we don't agree to what they created as far as guidelines go, we don't pass the resolution or ordinance to allow the guidelines to come into effect.
I really like what you're saying, Eric, but I would add a couple things to it, though, because I think Josh and Matt both made really good points in committee. We could potentially be losing investments right now. And if we don't line item some things quickly, like building materials, I sat on design review, and even with new people, I know how that process works. It's going to take meeting after meeting after meeting after discussion after discussion after discussion after discussion just to make this much change. And we need to make this much change.
We've witnessed that so many times. If you pay attention to the previous council, prior ones to that, no offense, we have one here, he can probably vouch for some of this. People sitting at this table make things take way longer than they need to take, and that's got to stop.
Yeah, we'll do it.
That has to stop.
Right.
So my question is, can we revamp what's there quickly? When I say quickly, I'm talking next week. Or do you abolish it and start over?
Can we do what Eric said, but then we go ahead and do exactly what you said, Eric, but we line items and things like now. Like we throw the building materials thing out of it today and let the people that are building inspectors decide what building materials are used.
I think you're going line item right now. You're bean counting everything, right? And it's almost like Mr. Bear said, there's a few things that would have to be moved, obviously, to make this work if you abolish it, which those things can still address, but I don't know are we afraid of losing? First of all, I feel like this is a form of control when I want to trust the people in my community to do the right thing with their investment. I don't feel like they need a babysitter. They don't need the government to watch them to make sure that they fix their buildings the correct way. I'm sure they all want to keep their buildings up. They've sunk a ton of dough into it. Not only that, the time it takes to wait on the board in order for us to change rules if they're trying to open a business. No one's going to come here to open a business if they can't get in 6 months.
No, but that's up to move on.
We just, like, the committee thing, at the committee meeting, I talked about Clayton Rush and his situation during COVID, and they had to meet at the church. He said he'll never do business in Galion again. We lost a guy who did business for 30 years in this town because we stiffed him. We did him dirty. We did him very dirty, and we should.
And that's an Ontario.
And yeah, now he's in Ontario. He told me he will never come back to Galion. No matter what we do, we're not bringing him back. And that's a shame, and that should have never happened. So now we have this process that's lengthy, very rigid, like you said. And if we're going to bean count this thing, it could take years before we even see anything impacted. Galion, I don't know if you've noticed, I've lived here long enough, most of my life, to see it's going down. We're not climbing. We're not improving. Our social life has died. The culture's dying. And I want to see everyone do good, but I want to be able to trust the business owners, the property owners, and I do trust them. I don't think they're going to paint it pink or put whatever you guys are
Actually,
afraid
the colors aren't controlled.
They aren't, and the colors things is a little ridiculous too, but that's another.
It's not in design review. There is
Right,
no
and that's another discussion on another one. But, you know, I don't feel that there's a need for control. And I really don't. I really say, I want to be able to look them, if they were all here right now, I want to say, I trust you to do the right thing with your business and your building. And that we shouldn't be stepping on them. They already have to go get to a building inspector to get things approved. And if there was situations there and it heads to the Board of Zoning Appeals, then they go through that. But right now we're talking, let's go ask the Design Review Board, then the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the city inspector. Why is it could take 6-8 months of a process before there's even hammered a nail or paint a brush.
Right.
And this is ridiculous.
Right.
We can't expect anyone to say, I want to open up downtown Galion. I don't blame them.
I speak from a perspective of not just being here. I own a building uptown that has 2 storefronts. And according to the Galion Historical Society, I have the 2 most historically accurate storefronts in uptown Galion. As a building owner uptown, I feel that that's very important. I do think that this city council needs to consider preserving the historical integrity and accuracy of storefronts and even encourage going back to them. When we get into 2nd, 3rd floors, backs and sides of buildings, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I mean, I feel like we need to get out of that business altogether. I feel like Richland County does an excellent job. I've been talking to them today. I talked to them Friday. They're very good at what they do, making sure that we have the right building materials that are safe, that are appropriate. So, you know, that's where I stand on it. I like all this discussion, but I think we need to get back to respecting the historical integrity of storefronts. If it hasn't, Dr. Fellner has an amazing building that was a J.C. Penney building, and it looks the same as it did when Penney's, except he made it a little bit nicer. You know, not all those buildings have historical integrity. Some of them do.
So, point of clarification. It sounds like a lot of the discussion is around the building materials. Is there a section of design review that is just building materials that could be a starting point of where we start to do some revamping and adjustments?
Probably is.
We have this section.
I haven't read through all 100,000
You have 20 pages of definitions.
Yeah, and you have,
read all the definitions out, and you just lost 20 pages.
Yeah. Right, and you have, masonry. They even go into like what you're allowed to do when you're pressure washing, right?
Yeah.
And the PSI and a certain it micromanages you to your build, like to a T. Like they just watch someone do something one day and say, we gotta make a rule to stop that, right? So like this is how far it's come. I don't think government or anything to do with the government needs to micromanage someone's investment like that, right? It's bad enough they gotta pay real estate taxes, they have maintenance, which those buildings, everyone knows, you got a historic building, it costs a lot of money to keep them up. There's nothing cheap about maintaining an old building, or heating, or anything, and it's already a burden enough on them. I don't feel like adding a bump in, it's not even a bump, this is a brick wall, adding a wall in the road, it does discourage business owners or building owners of even considering improvements on their building. And that's the consensus I've gotten. They would do something, they want to do something, but they don't want to go through this long, drawn out, like drag through the mud process. It's got to go. Like, we can make it easier, but I say we abolish it and make it easier on these folks. And I want them to be successful. I want it to be easier for them, and I think we all should. But I don't think it's a point of control. I think if we're thinking about controlling, I think we're in the wrong position, because that's not why we're here.
You'd almost be better off to abolish, put together a new design review board and say, okay, now instead of you being tasked with taking 2 years to fix this problem, we're going to task you with creating a new design review board.
We can start the rule discussion.
Because what's it going to harm? They're going to put a pop machine in front of a building? We can pass an ordinance to stop that.
Right, we can go to laws and ordinance as a draft, but if there is, I mean, can anyone else up here speak?
In fairness, you can get into the point if the rules are completely abolished and people do things in the interim, it may be difficult to that may end up getting grandfathered and not be.
Right.
You may not, like I said, that is a possible consequence, that there may be something done where you can't unring the bell by, you have no design review, no rules for 6 months, and they do things, there may be some things that you get stuck with, just so you understand the full scope.
So then my next question is, how do we take Eric's proposal, which was a good proposal, but get council involved with design review? Because my skepticism is that they're going to do anything expeditiously. They're going to
I would say you abolish, it goes to laws and ordinances, and we discuss some of these guidelines, bring them back to council, so sure, it's not going to take long to figure out, like, the pop machine thing, right? That's not going to take long to address those types of issues, and see where the standing authority, whether it be the inspector or Board of Zoning Appeals, and it goes to there. You know what I mean? And
Here's my suggestion. Why don't we do this? And it's all the discussion. You're right. I mean, design review has been cumbersome. I think we do need. Let me put it this way. At this point in the whole discussion, I honestly don't want to even see the name design and review anymore. To be honest with you. No offense. Seriously.
I'm with you.
Why use a term that has become very toxic for the community? Personally, I think that the laws and ordinance should take this up at the very next meeting that they have. I know that's going to be time, but we can't draft anything and have it before council before then.
No, right.
So my thought is for laws and ordinance to look at the situation with this. That gives him time to look into the tentacles of what design reviews involved in. It also allows the opportunity to research, like Eric said, concerning other communities. There may be a community out there that's got exactly what we're looking for. That's pretty much already done. You know what I'm saying? And that way, at least when this comes up before us again, and then we can demolish or dismantle the whole thing. But again, when it comes back to council, we have a better picture at what we're going to do. Because, like you said, I mean, it's trivial about the pop thing, but it's factual. There's no way that you're probably going to have, if you would have some issues like that come up, there's probably no way you're ever going to be able to prep that out. Okay? This way, we do it the right way. We do what we can have something that will be good for the community. That's just my thought.
Well, what you just said is perfect. I think as we sit here tonight, being that this is general discussion, we need to add that to the agenda for our next laws and ordinance meeting.
Yep.
And then we can move forward with some of these. That'll give us a little bit more time. And you know, one of the things that I mentioned was, you know, how long things take in the process. I'm not expecting this to be resolved in a month. But it better be resolved faster than things have been in the past. Because this made people just pack up and walk and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, we have several building property owner right here has a store that does very well in this town. And she looked right at us and said, I'm not doing anything with them buildings because it's too much of a headache.
You did see
I'm
you did see the updated email from them that said that they weren't in favor of throwing out.
Just the
From
box.
Amy.
I'm not-
From Amy, but that's what I said, I
Just-
spoke to them, and and it was, pardon me, I'm sorry, but I spoke to them, and I kind of got some clarification, that was, they're with us on this. Even if we abolish it, there still needs to be something,
Right.
some sort of guideline, but I would think, to reconstruct this, I'd almost say it's better to tear it down and do something else.
I mean, if you get the right people in there, you would have people that would just, if the application comes in, they could just approve it, even if it's against the guidelines while they're being.
Like I
worked
said,
out.
we could just pass it to boarding.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, and I was just up there on, I don't know what day, but one of the things that everybody in this room would agree on, I hope, is if you're on the design and review board, you have skin in the game.
Yeah.
You either have a business, you have a building.
I think there's also requirements in the ordinance that says the stipulations of who can be on the design review board.
It does.
There has to be a few.
You have to have
Resident.
residents, and you have to have business owners. so-
That's the big
Yes, it's in there.
Yes,
That's in there.
read the ordinance, yes.
Yeah, that's.
So we have people on there, I believe, that are not part of that anymore.
Yeah, but we don't have any contractors or architects.
Yeah, like I said, so it's just
We're lacking in some.
be revamped completely.
When I was on it, we had a bunch of.
All right, I'm going to interject here just for a second. You guys allowed community input.
Absolutely, we did, absolutely.
We've got somebody, go ahead.
Thank you very much for letting me speak. Okay. In this book are all the notes. I'm on the outside design committee. In this book, the leader of our meeting would not allow us to have anything done. It goes from the Nolan Park, that we wanted to take care of that, okay, all the way down since last February. I have the notes where we wanted the tops for our disgusting garbage can. Okay, I thought, first we were told, now we worked, thank God we have a new mayor. We worked through this department, okay? And then when the man that was in charge of our committee was lazier than day is long, okay? And he kept saying, I'll check on it up here in the city. And then I know one of the ladies checked on it. And we wanted, the sidewalks are so uneven uptown that you could really break an ankle. There were so many things that we wanted done. And we fought the people that were in this building. And then we had to fight the man that was over our, we even went as far, why would you go to Ashland? Okay, they have a college. That lady was so sweet that day. And she explained how they get, tourism in and all this stuff. And the beautiful flowers, and I even took pictures. And the seating areas, okay, in this book, nothing was done. You're absolutely 100% right. Nothing was done. This gentleman beside me, I hope he doesn't mind, he has asked for a trash can down at his corner over 6 months ago. You see, there was one there one time, but people walk from the carry out, and by the time they get to his intersection, okay, they throw the trash down. All right, those are so simple little things for taxpayers. But if you want to read the notes, you're more than welcome. And every month I said nothing will get done, and nothing was done. But we did fight really, really hard. to get things to beautify our city, and it was struck down every time. Yeah. So you all have nice designs, you all have nice thoughts about it, but there was people fighting really hard for this. And I know Carol is one of them that's on our team, and Carrie that has the venue is the other one, and then there's this man, okay? And all of us women were for to get, like you're talking about, the windows. Well, let's put up a new window there and put a curtain there so that it looks pretty, all right? But it was never done, nothing. And here's the notes every month to prove it. So I wish you luck in all of your stuff for the city, all right? And one comment that the citizens make is, it's always about downtown, it's always about downtown. But not really, because we extend that out, all the way up to the historic district, supposedly is from the railroad station tracks out to the Four Corners. That's supposed to be the historical site. I thank you very much for letting me speak, but this is the truth of this book. We tried so hard because we were embarrassed. I thought by October they would have them because we were going to have the Oktoberfest. No, there was no lids on those trash cans. So there's one thing you can do. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Wade, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I've had a contractor tell me that he will not do any work in downtown Galion. And even, some building owners are so discouraged, they get pumped up about doing something, and, they're going out on a limb financially to do something, and then they get other things piled onto them, delayed, and these contractors have been trying to get frustrated. I mean, I can't imagine that, they're trying to make a living in a business and have to deal with all that. So I think you're dealing with a long-standing reputation that the building owners have of the design review board and also the contractors. It's definitely a reputation problem that is, I think Mike said something about changing the name, but I think, you're absolutely right to say we just got it and move forward.
Well, I agree. I mean, to Matt and Eric's point, there's something right down the middle that's going to be the compromise. We can't abolish it without having something immediately.
I'm not against that.
Right. We can't just say, we're throwing this out because exceptions are going to come in and then
the grandfather,
right. But we need to look at something, and I think Mike had a good point, because we've done it with other things, looked at other cities. So that's something that the committee, I think, would benefit from, and then get a legislation to readily replace what's going on. Mr. Baer.
And I have one minor and a little more major thing. I know there was one more section in the flood repair that talks about historic buildings. Do we keep design reviews pieces or not? But more importantly, one of the things I think, and it goes to the alter versus abolish thought, if you guys are looking at it. One of the oddities of the way design review works, and it's popped up, and I think it's made it look bad, is that design review is built on such a way, and the way it gets worded is, design review doesn't consider economic considerations. But if design review says, I don't consider economic considerations and I deny you, then you appeal to the BZA, and the BZA can consider economic considerations, which compared to everything else, anybody who's got the legal system, when you appeal, it shouldn't get easier to win as you appeal. That doesn't make sense. That if normally when you appeal, it is much, much harder to win on appeal than it is to win at the initial level. That it should actually get, at best, I'll use the lawyer word, de novo. If you're dealing with questions of law, the next court, if you get the most deferential view, they take a fresh look at it and they see if you got it right. It's usually questions of, did you read the statute right? But most of them get much more restricted. A lot of things are abuse of discretion, or did they just completely screw up, if somebody thinks somebody's credible or not. Usually when you go to appeal, they don't take a fresh look at that unless it just seems completely out of the ballpark or it just makes zero sense. they defer to the earlier board. And so I think at the very least, if you're going to reconsider this, perhaps BZA should be, if they're going to say BZA can look at economic considerations, design review should be looking at them from the start and trying to make it so it at least is followed up.
And I agree with what you're saying. I absolutely hate the idea of a town that is so not business friendly that you got to be thinking about appeals
right from the start.
Right from the start. And that's where we've gotten to. And thank God the appeal process has been wonderful in Galion. I mean, it's been fabulous. But the fact that you know you're going to be going to an appeal is a horrible fact. And, you know, I've had, like, because I agree with everything Roberta was saying, I've had a business uptown Galion for 28 years. I've owned a building for 12 years. We only get 2-year terms on this council. That's going to fly by fast. And if we start, okay, we're just going to do this design review, none of us will be sitting here by the time it's done. If we go by the same process that it's always been gone by, like we're going to have to do something really fast or it won't get done. I'm positive it won't get done.
Then we have some motivation. I mean, we have businesses coming to town. I had a conversation with the bridal shop, and they chose Galion, and they live in Bucyrus. And the reason they chose Galion is because they see the momentum and the change and the positive things that us as elected officials have came into place January 1. And how many other businesses we have coming in, and there's some more that we haven't even heard about that are going to be coming in. So design review, we've got to think about the economic part of it too. I mean, a lot of these places are just renting the storefronts, but if someone comes in and wants to buy that, then we got to take that into consideration too. I mean, there's an economic impact to it.
I think after the election, there was a lot of excitement about the possibility that things were going to get done fast up here.
Yep.
I don't mind saying that. And I don't want to lay anybody down. I want to do stuff fast.
Mr. President, all the cities I mentioned, a lot of those cities are very fast-growing cities. They have design review boards. I am going to say it again because I'm on the side that I think we need to fix it, but I agree wholeheartedly that it's broken and it needs to be fixed. I don't believe that we should abolish it. I misspoke when I said 32 pages was a small, so I see Vermilion's is 10 pages.
Yep.
Vermilion's is 10 pages. There's a page on painting. There's a page that's pictures. There's a page on signs. There's 2 pages on preservation. And then there is 1 page on storefronts and some more pictures. I think that, so,
That's
very,
Vermilion, you
that's
say?
Vermilion. Vermilion is very nice. They're downtown.
That's a spot on town.
They're downtown. It's awesome.
Sounds like we got a roadmap here.
That is.
So my question with Eric about that, general term, say we pick Vermilion, and we say, man, these are great, let's use their model, yeah. How, and this is a question, what is easier though, to amend everything that we have, or do you take it away, abolish it, and as soon as you abolish it, go in with the new one? They call it something different.
I think it's a lot more work for Eric to abolish it and then start it over, because everything that you took out, you gotta put back in some way or another. So for Mr. Bear, I think it's probably, I don't speak for him, but I would guess that it's more difficult. I would find out from the people downtown, like, what do we, well, first we have to ask the question, what do we think is a reasonable amount of time that we can fix it quickly? Can that happen in 2 months, 3 months? If that can happen, I don't know how long it's going to take for the first. And the miss that was in the back row that made the comment about the current president of the design review board not allowing things. If we have the right people on the board, even in its current state, it might be totally different with different people on the board. And then the people that are wanting to do the work downtown might have the flexibility to do what they need to do because the interpretation of the current guidelines are different from different board members until we can get the guidelines altered.
Can you just remove the ones that are on it? I don't know how that would work.
They're removed. There's only 2 people on it, so
But
Yeah.
Mr.
They're
Brown
all expired.
and Mr. Gimbel.
One of our guys.
Mr. Brown and Mr. Gimbel are the 2 people that are still on the board.
and
Everybody else is expired.
Do you appoint the rest of them, Mr. Mayor?
I make the nomination, ultimately council.
And council.
So we approve it. So what I would suggest is, once Mr. Satterfield has some folks in, that we interview those people. We bring them up and we give them time to talk about what they want to, because at the end of the day, or we wait until it's time for the resolution, and then we use that time to, when the resolution's created, to, okay, well, we have a resolution in front of us. We would like to see the individual. If the individual's not here, we're not going to pass the resolution. We have them here, we ask them questions, we interview them, and then we decide whether we want to pass the resolution to allow those people on board.
So what about 3 parts then? Do exactly what you're saying, Eric. We wait for Mr. Satterfield to get the appointments. Let's get Vermillions.
We're not expediting anything. We're still playing the same game. We're not even taking our own advice.
Yeah,
But
you
if we
can't eliminate
restructure,
the process, Matt. I mean,
you
get
could
your
though.
passion.
You absolutely could. It'd be one thing to revisit if we blow up and we're taking off. Yes, let's revisit this conversation of having a design review board. But we're not. We're on a decline. We've been on a steady decline for 35 years. You have HOAs for millions of dollars of an investment to protect the neighborhood, right? Because you don't want it to be devalued, but our investment is devaluing. So when the HOA has failed, we have to stop this. We have to stop that mentality. This is still control, and I don't think this is necessary. We're not expediting or eliminating the step. We're just adding to it and confusing it. So I think it has to be abolished. I don't know how else to put it, but it is like mind-boggling that we're even not thinking. I like Josh's
Do you remember Crap-A-Rama?
Hold this. Yeah, I understand.
Do you remember Crap-A-Rama?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so, to your point that no one would sabotage their own, I love that point when I watched the committee meeting that you made. Who in their right mind would sabotage, but that was kind of done out of spite, and it was right there on the square.
Right.
Right there on the square. So you want to trust business owners.
I do. Here's the thing. Like, you have the right to fail in this nation. That's what's beautiful about it, right? You want to succeed. We're not here to decide whether you succeed or fail. We're just here to help you succeed. That's what we want. We want people to succeed, right? We don't want to hinder this investment that you made in this building. We don't want to hinder your business from getting up and running. You have an investment and you're sitting on all this cash that you put out, waiting to open your store, but now we're waiting weeks or months before they get to the point. No, we haven't eliminated a step. We're not even going in the right direction. I'm talking about simplifying this so people can get on with their lives and start running their businesses the way they need to, or to make their improvements instead of getting dragged through the mud. We're still talking about dragging people through the mud, and I don't understand it.
If we had a date, and this just question for you actually, since it's your committee. If we had a date that we're gonna have this thing fixed by this date, or if it's not, we're abolishing it, what would that date be?
do you want realistic or my answers?
I think both of them.
Realistic is probably 2 to 3 months that it's either fixed. If you had my opinion, I would say we have 2 more conversations about it. But and the end of that, it's just this right here again.
Right.
One wants to, one doesn't want to, one that wants
I think
to.
the reality
we're
is
not getting anywhere. We're completely.
We're not. I mean, the reality would be July.
I was thinking like June 1st. If it's not done by June 1st, I'm ready to vote. Which puts the pressure on whoever's doing this to get something going fast. Like, first of all, the Vermillion thing was an awesome idea. Let's get those guidelines like ASAP and see if they make sense for us.
Yeah, start developing the guidelines now as we're filling positions. And then we make that decision, okay, we just abolish it.
If we're out there, I like Josh's idea, take this off, put this on, there we go. It's there. But that's still eliminating the board because we could use the BZA. That's part of the discussion of involving ordinances, right? So we can use another board. Why is there that many boards for buildings?
Which we have a hard time filling.
Right, which is absurd. We don't need that many boards. We can eliminate the step. Now we're expediting the process. and people are still carefully looking over. I'm sure the people investing their money into their buildings are definitely looking at their budget and carefully looking it over before they even consider it. I mean, they get excited, and this is something that will get them excited. This brings life, people are going to be thrilled about this, right? They will be.
Well, I
And
think,
it's something good.
I agree, but I think us discussing and making a determination to actually do something about it, because let's face it, just like you said, it's been talked about off and on for years, okay, but talk is cheap, okay, but I think that we as council members need to make sure we do this the right way, because based on, on this idea is, okay, we abolish all things. We basically leave the downtown to whatever. You have, now wait a minute, you have a business here, business there, you have your business there. Somebody comes along and decides that they're going to put some whatever, okay, that will affect their business, or his business, or she's business, because they're intertwined. So we really, as a group, and I'm not trying to extend this or anything, I think we can do it in shorter time than that.
I think you keep it on the council agenda, every single council meeing, and we put this thing on clock, like June 1st.
Yeah, there's no reason
If it ain't
why.
fixed.
Now, how's it working? Because we have to get him time here. Make sure the tentacles are all covered. Because the worst thing you can do is suddenly have a gap someplace and someone comes in and that becomes an issue.
If I may, just one of the suggestions that was just brought up was potentially getting rid of design review and giving it to the BZA. Like I said, and for me, part of what I was, I know you guys were just discussing, I started with a basic abolish, but if you were to give design review and basically eliminate it and make it a function of the BZA, that would change basically the legislative draft. So that's, like I said, when you guys get closer to an idea of what you really want it to look like, we can get working on the pieces. But I can't, and I'll be fair, I can't simultaneously do every possible answer.
I think what needs to happen first is you need to figure out what the easiest process is for your line. That doesn't mean that's 100% correct. But what would be the easiest for us to do? Abolish, amend, change, the different options that you have, and you lay them out in front of us, and then we can discuss here what that next step would be.
And I do agree with, one of the things that Matt has said over and over is that, there's this fear that if design review abolishes, that we're going to have the wild, wild west uptown. I don't believe that's going to happen either. I really don't. I mean, you might have a couple people that might do a couple minor things that you question, but you're not going to have the wild, wild west uptown. And I agree with what Dr. Fellner said about the Crapple-Rama, but the problem with Crapple-Rama is they didn't break any design review rules. All that crap was inside the building, which had nothing to do with design review. Right? So they literally didn't break a single rule with design review. So design review didn't help with Crapple-Rama at all. That's why it was there. It didn't get shut down. Right. But I agree with what Matt has said over and over. We're kind of, in my opinion, we're kind of worrying about something that's highly unlikely to happen, that all of a sudden, uptown's going to go crazy if we don't police them. I don't think that's going to happen.
I think that people, if you haven't discussed conversation with business owners or had this conversation, you'd be surprised what the outcome they want is. I would strongly encourage people to get out there and talk to some of these people.
I've never
It's
talked
got
to
to
a
change.
business uptown that likes it.
It's got to change. It's got to change fast.
Yeah.
So
I don't know that I've ever talked to a business owner in Uptown Galion that liked it. I think there's a few, which I have a ton of respect for Kent Gimble, and he likes some of design review. I don't think he likes it all, but he likes some of it. But outside of that, I've never really, who are we appeasing here? We're certainly not appeasing the business and building owners.
So we will keep this on our
Discussion
of laws and ordinance.
Well, we take it to laws and ordinance. If Mr. Bayer could join us Are you allowed to join us for the Development Ordinance Committee, which will be on March 3rd?
March 3rd, I'll be sure to put that one in.
If you're available.
That's a Tuesday. I'll talk with my wife, but I think I can make that work.
Amazing how that happened.
Bring the airport. You know, she's gonna be about 5 months at that point. So
Okay, well.
Oh, yeah.
She may give her opinion.
It starts at 7.
7, thank you.
And yes, this will be, as far as I'm concerned, this will be discussed at every meeting possible until people are
Continuous other business.
tired of hearing about it until we come to a conclusion, because there's one thing I'm not gonna do, that's waste my time. We're gonna move forward.
None of us want to.
There were a few
No,
things.
and I understand we don't want to, but we've witnessed it for years, and that's done.
I sense this discussion is kind of coming to a conclusion for the city.
We've stalled out.
For tonight.
Yeah, we'll stall.
We'll argue about it as we, almost. You got something?
I've been very quiet.
All right,
Been very quiet.
okay.
I am not in favor of completely abolishing it. I've listened hard. But I will say there's some really good points. I was finally able to get a hold of somebody from the State Historical Preservation Office, and they returned an email, finally. And I'm trying to do the research on what ramifications it would have to the city if it's abolished, if it's amended, if it stays the same. So I want to get you that information so that there's hard evidence or hard information as to where it stands. I believe that there needs to be something, and if there is a solution, that it's A, fix the regulations, and B, if you abolish the current ordinances, you have something in place that takes care of it right now. Right. Because there needs to be some kind of guidance so that it isn't, and I agree, I don't think it's going to be Wild Wild West, but there has to be there was a reason that the design review was put into place to begin. And that was to try to maintain the historical preservation of the uptown and the residences, because we're focusing here, but it goes down to Jefferson Street, and then the second area in the west is Jefferson Street down to the Four Corners. But it's those houses within that ring too, and that's a whole different discussion on some different properties. I hear you. What I'm also hearing is that it appears that this council wants the current board to be really revamped, and I'm not saying that some of those members that are on that don't come back. I think that there's I have had a conversation with one of the members that understands that it needs to be amended, it needs to be changed, and wants to continue in that fight. But I think that's something that I would bring that name before you, and you would have that discussion. I don't know what the ramifications or the protocol would be to have a full-blown interview in a resolution in full council. Maybe it could, maybe it couldn't. I know sometimes this isn't city personnel, so it's not executive session material that you would talk about that, but if that's the direction you want to go, when I start talking to people, I'm going to go, you're going to be interviewed by 7 people. so they understand that. And I hear you. I hear the passion, and I understand it. And I think we all ran on the assumption that we were going to make some changes, and then we were going to make it easier to do business in town. And this is a step in the right direction, whether it's amending it or abolishing it, refixing it, or just going all together. But I think we look at, whether it's Vermillion, we look at Delaware as a 30-page regular guidelines and regulations, something like that. Something that's easier to work with, affordable, efficient, and it can move forward and do it fast. So I'm hearing what you're trying to send this direction, and I will work with everybody here on that. But I do want to get you some information, whether that's have somebody from the historical preservation come up and talk at your committee meeting, at least give you some information.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
What's the pros of doing it? What's the con? I mean, and see if we can't work that through. So
you may be prepping your new candidates for Senate confirmation hearings.
Yeah.
Well, even as a committee, we could come up with a few ideas, and we're still going to have discussion to council. Then we bring those ideas to council. And then we say, hey, this last committee meeting, we came up with plan A, B, and C, right? What do you guys think of this? And then we can say, well, that's good. We like this, but this. We can move parts around that way, and then we can work with it. I think that
I think
That's
we
gonna be the step, absolutely. So what's
Oh, I-
that?
It's on the clock.
Right.
It is on the clock.
All right, thank you. Item 7 on the agenda, Ms. Boyd, anything for this evening?
Just some updates. We are wrapping up the 2024 audit. We've got some preliminary feedback. It's not the official audit report yet, but we've got some stuff that came out this week. And Mayor and I are reviewing that. They're also asking for some additional information from this year, actually, because they went for the 24 audit, and we're working on the 25 audit as well. So we should be getting a final audit for 24 and digging in the middle of the 25 audit. So that's kind of where we're at. You want to add them?
Yeah, and what happens when the audit comes by, or becomes complete, is the state auditors ask if they want a post-audit conference, and that can be done with the full council. So I guess the question is, do you want a full audit, a post-audit conference with the state auditors so they can tell you what's in the report and what they're seeing, or do you want to just take the report, read it, and move on with life? Again, this is the problem that we've had the last couple of years, is that it's February 10th, we're just getting the 2024 audit completed. That's not our fault, this is what happened to the state. So rest assured, some of those things that said we didn't do in 24, we didn't do in 25. Because we didn't have the information to fix it. Or some of the stuff that they have mentioned, was taken care of. But the question is, do you want a full audit, a post-audit conference with them, or do you not? And it could be as simple as having the finance committee having that meeting and relaying back, or we can just tell them we're going to pass.
Go ahead.
No, I agree with the finance committee.
Yeah, finance, or, I mean, what is your personal take on that? Being that you were in that role, do you think it'll do us, and do you think it'll do the citizens any good to have that information?
Well, number one, it's public record, and the citizens will have it when we get the audit, we're going to post it.
Okay.
It'll be
that's,
online.
yes. So that's not a question of whether it's being hidden or not.
Yeah.
The question would be, is with 5 new council members, do you want to have to sit down and to see what all they're going through and the stuff that they're talking about and why they've made these management letter comments and stuff?
Which, the finance committee, the individuals on that committee are there for a reason, right? Would that be the best?
I
I'm
think
throwing them under the bus because I'm not one of them, so.
That's
awesome. I gotcha.
In the past, not only was it the finance committee or the financial chair, but it would also be an audit committee of which you were part of that we really never met with. But there's an audit committee that's set up. This Mr. Eric Flick, and was Mr. Fellner before. We'd have to find somebody to replace that. But it's their purpose is to meet basically 2 times a year. The audit's starting. This is the audit, and take a look at it. So there's the transparency and stuff.
Personally, I think for the first go-round, for a lot of us, I think an audit report would be beneficial in front of everybody. Longer meeting, just to get, or as opposed to just finance. Maybe next year, we've got, the experience, an audit report is sufficient,
Might give you a baseline.
Yes, I think that.
Speaking from experience, we go with what the council president says, I believe.
And
So whenever that's ready.
This way, I can respond back to Jessica from the state auditors, because that was one of the questions. So
Yeah.
we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
And I don't think the audit, those aren't public, so I wouldn't be.
Yeah, the post-audit conferences are not public meetings.
Okay.
I don't believe.
But the audit itself.
The audit
itself,
the audit
so,
is public.
I mean, we'd have, I wouldn't be broadcasting that meeting at that time. So that's, I do remember that part.
Wasn't it a conference call?
Yeah, it might be.
I thought it was.
Yeah,
I thought it was a conference call last year.
We could meet in the mayor's office and.
I was in my office in Columbus.
Right.
On Skype.
Oh, yeah, I was on that too. That was,
I thought so.
Kathy was on it, yeah.
Yeah, Kathy was in Florida. or something?
Yeah, she was from Florida. You were on for your office, yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay, we'll talk about that. So anyway, I also want to say before Dr. Fellner runs off, I got some paperwork for you to sign.
Certainly.
That's it for me.
Thank you for remembering that. I forgot.
If I can on this topic, just so council has the benefit of it, if you're new to these and you're looking at them, there's always going to be something that could be improved or modified. The real magic words that get people concerned is the words finding for recovery. That's where you did something so bad money. So the idea that something was irregular in some way that could be tweaked or improved is not necessarily a horrible thing. I just want to... There's none of that. So just so you understand what the magic words, if there's a real big problem, that's some of these others, because it can be easy to read it the first time and think there's all these things that need to be fixed, and they're not that good.
Okay.
Sorry, I just...
That's a good point.
Good perspective.
Ms. Pitt?
Nothing to report?
All right. Mr. Bear?
I believe I've spoken enough on enough things tonight.
Mr. Mayor?
I've got three things written down. The state of the vision for the Crawford County Partnership is March the 19th. In the past, we have had a table there. If you are interested in going, it's from like 5 to 8 at the hub. But let me know if you're interested in going, and we will get a table for the city for that.
What was the date?
March 19th is a Thursday, from 5 to 7, 5 to 8. I think doors open at 5, and it's normally 2.5 hours, I think is what it is.
Yeah. It's a dinner and everything, and they have like
A little dinner, food, and
beverages
yeah.
for
So,
purchase.
yeah, all right, I can work on that. I think it would be 8. I'll talk to McKenna and see if it's, I think it's 8 chairs, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, it's 8.
Okay. There is a BZA hearing on March the 23rd. I'm giving you this information because it is a proposal for a multi-unit complex at the old high school. They went through planning commission. It's up to about 72 units. It's one building, I think it's 72 units. So it's got to go for variance there. Again, it's letting you know because the residents are going to be given letters, and if you get information that is there something that's being proposed there, the answer is yes. But it is tied into state capital funding. So again, like we had with Dawson Street or a couple other things in the last few years, there's been projects that have been proposed, and then they didn't get funded, and then they get.
Somebody go through, we'll get they basically need our blessing.
They don't need our blessing, because it's already zoned, they need BZA's blessing on a zoning variance.
Variance, okay, for this one. And then once they get that, then they can go try to get the funding for it. What was the time of that meeting?
5 o'clock. 4 o'clock, but I'll make sure that.
It's at 4.
Yeah, it's 4. Yeah, 4 o'clock, yeah, just how it's on the meeting. So.
That's here.
Yeah, it'll be here.
Who's the potential, who's the developer? Do you know off the top?
Yeah, I've got it downstairs. Michael might even have it in his email there. They came to planning commission and had a presentation. It's really nice.
I saw the pictures of it. It looked amazing.
Yeah. But understand too, it's putting
Is this the one for Spire Development?
Yeah, Spire Development.
Oh, they did one last year too.
Yeah. They were on the east end last year, but they didn't get funded either.
Yeah, Spire, I was on the committee for that one. That was out at the old Dawson.
Yeah. No, Dawson was not Spire.
That was not?
No, they were on like tracks or something.
They were out by Traxel. Yeah. And then the other one was they might have been the one at Libby Lane.
Okay.
So.
And they didn't get funded last year. But it could become a hot topic because it's, again, you're putting a multi-unit facility in a residential area that's zoned, and it's on the old high school lot, which is also a hot topic, so. The residents.
Is it 55 plus?
Yes, it's a 55 plus. Non-assisted living, so it's, okay, you pay, you stay, so. Good note. We talked about the beginning of the year staffing. A new employee started at the wastewater treatment plant on Monday. We're waiting patiently for the confirmation of the second employee to start at the wastewater treatment plant, which is 2 operator trainings is what starts the domino effect to really start happening. So they're not, the employees that want to move from wastewater to the street department, it's going to take some time because we got to get these people trained, and we're still not going to let the wastewater treatment plant operate with untrained operators. But that is a positive. It is moving forward. So we're working on that. We've gone through and started we passed the ordinance for the police cruisers. We're working on that. We're working on getting information on the equipment for the street department. And had some good discussion in the last week or so with engineers about starting to map our water lines and sewer lines and find out what's good, what's bad, and what's really bad.
I have a question in that regard. Well, kind of as far as water lines, sewer lines go. There was the EPA, I think, was at Cyrus's last meeting, talking about I think it was their sewer lines and overflow of their sewer, I believe, and talking through some of the things that Nikki mentioned at one of our previous meetings. And I didn't know if you had any update on is that similar to what we're going to have done, and are they going to come? Is the EPA going to come here and talk to us about what it is that the mandates that are coming out, and what?
I believe there's some talk. I can't speak to whether EPA is coming or not. I know that the infiltration issue with the sewer is a big issue. It is one of the reasons why we're treating more sewer than we need to be, and there will be smoke testing done probably late May or June, and it's going to concentrate kind of in the Uptown District and in a little bit of District 2 or Ward 2 and Ward 1. It's kind of the central zone here of where they're going to start working. The nice thing is that the company that's going to do it is going to come in and do a test, kind of a show and tell, if you will, of which the community and the council members and our fire department and police department are going to be invited to, so that when they do the smoke testing and you go, holy crap, there's smoke in my basement, you'll understand why. And that the fire department can understand what it's going to be. When the community asks you guys what the heck's going on, you'll be, if you're interested, you can come see what it is, and you can actually see when they drop the smoke into the sewer line and it goes through and you start seeing smoke coming up in different places. That's where there's leaks, and that's where the infiltration is coming in, and that's the problem. If we can eliminate the infiltration, especially with the stormwater, it reduces our capacity of what we're talking about at the wastewater treatment plant, which reduces our costs and makes our plant more efficient.
Downspouts, sump pumps, stormwater is huge.
So
and that was the old mentality, just pump it in there.
Yeah. So that is coming. That is part of the wastewater EPA plan that they're talking about. No feasible alternative. That's all in part of that is trying to eliminate that infiltration. So.
They had mentioned additional technologies outside of smoking that they monitor flow during rainfall, increase flow in different areas, and then they kind of hone in on the areas where the flow in the lines has increased based on this technology that they're putting in the lines. I would assume that they're going to do something very similar.
That's what Nikki said at was it 2 committees ago? Talked about that they're going to do that, and where they find it, then I think that's where they're.
But I think she got her, if I recall, the information is from a sales rep.
Right.
There's technology out there that we've talked about, and that Nikki and Andy Montes have seen, where they take a little golf ball, if you will, or some kind of ball, and they stick it into a fire hydrant, and it goes to 1,000 feet, and it'll tell you if the piping in there, and this is more water than it is sewer, but it could do what section of that pipe is stable and good, what section is weak, and so instead of replacing 1,000 feet, you're replacing this much. because the rest of it is okay. So we're looking at, can we afford to do that? And I start identifying the weak spots. And it's, you know, I blame Josh with Nikki after the meeting last week. We talked about when are the leaks going to come up, and it was literally that night. She goes, "What did you do?" And I said, "It's Josh's fault."
You know how the game works.
But it's,
been there, done it.
You know, and yes, we were aware of, you know, we had Cherry and Climber that they had the water leak, and we had the water leak down. They're going to happen. I mean, again, we went from negative temperatures to it was 45 degrees today, and that thaw and stuff, and it creates the potential problems, and we're aware of it. I mean, the last thing I wanted to do in the first month is to have 3 or 4 water line breaks. Congratulations, you broke the system. You know, but it's going to happen, and the guys are working their tails off to try to get it. And why didn't you do it at 3 o'clock in the morning? Because it was -10 wind chill factor, and those guys, you know, they're doing it as fast and as efficient as they can. And frustration sometimes, yeah, but the safety of the employees is also on the forefront of our minds. So, yeah. And other than that, glad to be here.
Thank you, bud.
I know, I try to pull it out, but
I know.
That's one with years of time.
I have nothing as far as comments, other than I did win $1 from our mayor. He said 10 o'clock meeting. I said way before that.
This isn't way before.
Well,
that's my
I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Terry sounds like you guys. Why you don't see me down here on console waiting?
It was second.
Black cars here in with the shadows.
I know, it's hidden back here.
Mr. Gribble makes the motion, seconded by Mr. Weber, or whatever.
Either.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.